Marilyn Monroe, a name that evokes glamour, beauty, and timeless allure. But behind the iconic smile and the platinum blonde hair lies a story far more complex, far more human, and far more inspiring than most people realize. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a movie star. She was a woman who battled adversity, defied odds, and left a legacy that continues to captivate the world nearly a century after her birth. Her story is one of resilience, vulnerability, and relentless pursuit of identity and authenticity. A story that teaches us that even amidst fame and fortune, the human spirit is what truly matters. Marilyn Monroe was born as Norma Jeane Mortenson on June 1, 1926, in Los Angeles, California. Her early life was far from easy. Her mother, Gladys, struggled with mental health issues, and her father was absent. Marilyn spent much of her childhood in foster homes and an orphanage, never experiencing the stability and security most children take for granted. She grew up feeling invisible, unwanted, and misunderstood. Yet, even in those formative years, a spark of resilience and determination began to emerge. She learned early that life wouldn't hand her anything, that she would have to carve her own path, and that she would have to fight to be seen, loved, and heard. As a teenager, Norma Jeane faced hardships that could have defined her forever. She married at just 16 to escape the instability of foster care, a decision that reflected both the constraints of her circumstances and her instinct to seek control over her own life. Even then, she began to dream bigger. She wanted more than survival. She wanted transformation. She wanted to be someone extraordinary. And so, she began the process of reinventing herself, a process that would eventually give birth to the world's most famous blonde bombshell, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn's rise to stardom wasn't immediate. She began as a model, using her looks to open doors, but refusing to let appearances define her. She studied acting diligently, attended classes, and pushed herself to learn the craft. Hollywood, however, was ruthless. She was often typecast as the dumb blonde, her intelligence and depth overlooked in favor of her sex appeal. Yet Marilyn never allowed these labels to crush her spirit. She sought knowledge, read voraciously, and developed an insatiable curiosity about the world, philosophy, psychology, and literature. She wanted to grow, to be more than a symbol, to be remembered as a woman with depth, insight, and humanity. Her breakthrough came gradually. Films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire showcased her comedic timing and charisma, and her star power grew exponentially. But what truly made Marilyn Monroe unforgettable wasn't just her beauty or charm. It was her vulnerability, her honesty, and the paradoxical blend of strength and fragility she brought to every role. She embodied a complexity that audiences felt intuitively, even if they didn't understand it fully. Yet behind the bright lights and flashing cameras, Marilyn struggled with personal demons. She battled insecurity, anxiety, and depression. The pressures of fame, combined with a lifelong search for love and acceptance, weighed heavily on her. Relationships were turbulent, marriages were short-lived, and trust was often elusive. But even in her struggles, Marilyn exhibited courage. She confronted her challenges openly, sought therapy at a time when mental health was stigmatized, and used her experiences to inform her art. Every performance, every photograph, every public appearance was infused with a depth born of personal struggle and resilience. One of Marilyn's most inspiring qualities was her relentless pursuit of self-improvement. While many saw her as simply a glamorous icon, she dedicated herself to mastering her craft. She studied acting under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio, honing her skills and challenging herself to move beyond superficial roles. She fought for creative control in a studio system that often sought to exploit her image. She was never content to be a passive star. She wanted to create, to innovate, to leave an indelible mark on the world of cinema. This commitment to growth, even amidst adversity, is a powerful lesson for anyone chasing excellence. Marilyn Monroe's legacy isn't just about movies or fame. It's about courage. She challenged the stereotypes of women in her era, redefined beauty standards, and became a symbol of empowerment, whether intentionally or not. She showed the world that it is possible to be glamorous and intelligent, vulnerable and strong, sensual and profound, all at the same time. In doing so, she inspired generations of women and men alike to embrace complexity, to defy labels, and to pursue authenticity relentlessly. Her personal life, though often scrutinized and sensationalized, also teaches lessons about resilience and determination. Despite public scrutiny and personal heartbreak, she continued to strive for fulfillment and happiness. She sought meaningful relationships, creative autonomy, and a sense of belonging in a world that often felt superficial and unforgiving. Her journey underscores an essential truth. Life will not always be fair, but how we respond to challenges defines our legacy. Marilyn Monroe's artistry and influence extend far beyond the silver screen. She became an enduring cultural icon, a symbol of aspiration and possibility. Her style, her poise, and her charisma continue to influence fashion, film, and art decades after her passing. Yet what makes her story timeless is not just her image, it's her humanity. Her struggles, her dreams, her resilience, and her unwavering desire to be fully herself resonate universally. Her life also reminds us of the fragility of fame and the importance of self-worth. Marilyn's story is a testament to the idea that external validation, wealth, or applause cannot replace internal peace and self-love. She teaches us to cultivate strength from within, to pursue growth relentlessly, and to honor our true selves, regardless of the world's perception. In this, she becomes more than a Hollywood legend. She becomes a guide, a mirror reflecting the struggles and aspirations inherent in every human journey. Marilyn Monroe once said, "I restore myself when I'm alone." These words encapsulate her approach to life. Amidst chaos, criticism, and pressure, she sought solitude to reflect, grow, and recharge. She recognized the importance of self-awareness, self-care, and introspection, qualities that are as vital today as they were in her time. Her wisdom encourages us to find moments of stillness, to nurture our inner selves, and to use challenges as opportunities for transformation. Her influence also stretches into advocacy, though subtly. By challenging societal norms, refusing to accept one-dimensional roles, and asserting creative control, Marilyn quietly advanced the cause of women's autonomy in a male-dominated industry. She demonstrated that strength can be expressed through intelligence, assertiveness, and the courage to demand respect. Her story urges us to advocate for ourselves, to demand fairness, and to pursue our ambitions without compromise. Even in her final years, Marilyn continued to evolve. She explored new opportunities, sought personal growth, and embraced her identity fully, demonstrating that transformation is never bound by age or circumstance. Her life, though tragically cut short at 36, remains a testament to the power of resilience, authenticity, and vision. She reminds us that even brief lives can leave lasting impacts if lived courageously, creatively, and intentionally. What can we learn from Marilyn Monroe's extraordinary life? First, never underestimate the power of self-belief. Despite her challenging upbringing, personal insecurities, and public scrutiny, Marilyn pursued her dreams with relentless determination. Second, embrace complexity. Life is not black and white, and neither are we. Marilyn embodied contradictions, showing us that strength and vulnerability can coexist, that beauty and intelligence are not mutually exclusive, and that embracing our full selves is the path to true fulfillment. Third, commit to growth. Marilyn's dedication to acting, learning, and self-improvement illustrates that talent alone is not enough. Success requires discipline, study, and the willingness to push beyond comfort zones. Fourth, use adversity as fuel. Every challenge Marilyn faced, from childhood instability to the pressures of fame, became a stepping stone for growth, artistry, and empowerment. Her story reminds us that struggles, when met with resilience, can become catalysts for greatness. Finally, prioritize authenticity. Marilyn Monroe's enduring appeal lies not in perfection, but in her authenticity. She dared to be herself, to be honest about her fears and desires, and to live a life true to her own vision. Her legacy inspires us to embrace our individuality, pursue our passions, and create a life that reflects our values, strengths, and dreams. For those watching today wondering if you can overcome your own challenges, remember Marilyn Monroe's journey. She started life with limited resources, faced constant doubt, and battled inner demons. Born as Norma Jeane Mortenson on June 1, 1926, in Los Angeles, her early years were marked by instability. Her mother struggled with mental health issues, and her father was absent. Norma Jeane spent much of her childhood in foster homes and an orphanage, never experiencing the stability most children take for granted. She was surrounded by uncertainty, by impermanence, and by a world that seemed indifferent to her existence. And yet, even in those early years, something extraordinary began to stir within her. A spark of resilience, a yearning to be seen, to be heard, and to rise above the circumstances she was given. Life wasn't easy for young Norma Jeane. She faced neglect, rejection, and the harsh realities of poverty. But adversity has a way of shaping character, and she learned early that strength isn't given, it is forged. She understood that if she wanted a life beyond struggle, she would have to fight for it with every ounce of her being. That fight became her defining characteristic. She would not allow her beginnings to dictate her end. She would not let society's expectations, the whispers of doubt, or the burdens of her childhood confine her potential. Every challenge became a stepping stone, every rejection a lesson, every setback a moment to grow stronger. As a teenager, she made decisions that reflected both her vulnerability and her courage. At 16, she married to escape the uncertainty of foster care, a move that symbolized both survival and self-determination. She worked odd jobs, from a factory to modeling, using every opportunity to inch closer to the life she envisioned. She began to dream bigger, seeing herself not just as a survivor, but as a woman capable of transformation. That desire to reinvent herself would eventually give birth to the iconic figure we know today as Marilyn Monroe, a woman whose name would become synonymous with beauty, talent, and enduring influence. But Marilyn Monroe's story is far more than fame or glamour. It is a story of courage, resilience, and relentless self-discovery. Early in her career, she was often typecast as the dumb blonde, a label that minimized her intelligence and overshadowed her potential. Yet, she refused to be defined by other people's perceptions. She studied acting rigorously, attended classes, and invested in herself, understanding that true power comes from skill, discipline, and preparation. While the world often focused on her beauty, she quietly cultivated wisdom, insight, and artistry. She read voraciously, exploring philosophy, psychology, and literature, seeking to understand herself and the world around her. Her breakthrough in Hollywood wasn't immediate. It took persistence, patience, and the ability to endure criticism without losing her sense of self. Films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire showcased her charisma and comedic timing, yet she longed for roles that challenged her and allowed her to express her depth. Her legendary role in The 7-Year Itch and the unforgettable scene over the subway grate solidified her status as a cultural icon. But beneath the glamour was a woman determined to master her craft. She studied at the Actors Studio under Lee Strasberg, developing a depth and nuance that many overlooked. Every performance was an opportunity to prove that she was more than an image. She was an artist. Even as fame grew, Marilyn faced internal struggles. She battled anxiety, insecurity, and depression, often exacerbated by the pressures of Hollywood and public scrutiny. Relationships were complicated, marriages were short-lived, and trust was elusive. Yet, in the midst of personal turmoil, she continued to push forward. She sought therapy, explored self-improvement, and channeled her vulnerabilities into her art. She understood that growth often comes from discomfort, that resilience is born from adversity, and that true strength lies in embracing one's fears rather than running from them. Marilyn's journey is a masterclass in perseverance. She teaches us that beginnings do not determine endings. Despite a childhood filled with instability, despite societal expectations, and despite personal struggles, she rose to become a global icon not just through glamour, but through courage, intelligence, and authenticity. Every challenge she faced became a catalyst for growth. Every doubt cast upon her became fuel for her ambition. And every failure taught her lessons that no amount of success could replicate. Imagine your life as a canvas. Marilyn painted hers with passion, courage, and relentless pursuit of her dreams. She did not wait for permission to define her identity. She refused to accept limitations imposed by others or by circumstance. She sculpted her life deliberately, embracing every opportunity to grow, to learn, and to create a legacy. And now it's your turn. What masterpiece will you create? What barriers will you break? What legacy will you leave? The world does not grant success automatically. It rewards those who act with purpose, who believe in themselves when no one else does, and who persist when every obstacle suggests giving up. Marilyn Monroe's story is a reminder that greatness is not about perfection. It is about resilience, self-discovery, and the relentless pursuit of your authentic self. It is about facing fears, embracing challenges, and transforming adversity into opportunity. She shows us that even amidst uncertainty, criticism, and setbacks, we have the power to rise, to shine, and to leave an enduring impact. Her life urges us to embrace our individuality, to confront our insecurities, and to cultivate the strength to pursue our vision relentlessly. The lessons from her life extend beyond Hollywood or fame. They are universal truths for anyone striving for a meaningful, impactful life. First, believe in yourself. Marilyn's early life offered little validation, yet she nurtured a vision of herself that no circumstance could diminish. Second, commit to growth. Talent alone is not enough. Dedication, discipline, and the willingness to push beyond your comfort zone are what separate ordinary from extraordinary. Third, embrace vulnerability. True strength is not the absence of fear or doubt. It is acting in spite of them. Fourth, use adversity as fuel. Every obstacle, every challenge, every disappointment can be transformed into a stepping stone toward your dreams. Fifth, prioritize authenticity. The world may try to mold you, but your greatest impact comes when you live in alignment with your values, passions, and true self. Marilyn Monroe's journey also teaches us the importance of resilience in the face of public scrutiny. In today's world, criticism comes quickly, and opinions are freely shared. Marilyn endured relentless judgment, yet she maintained her commitment to self-expression, self-improvement, and her artistic vision. She reminds us that external opinions should never dictate your path. What matters is your commitment to your own growth and purpose. Her legacy demonstrates the power of transformation. She transformed her identity, rising from a challenging childhood to global recognition. She transformed public perception, showing the world that beneath the surface lies depth, intelligence, and resilience. And she transformed adversity into opportunity, showing that even the most difficult circumstances can be harnessed to propel you forward. Her story invites us to reflect. What aspects of your life are waiting for transformation? What challenges can you convert into catalysts for growth? What version of yourself can you create if you commit fully to the journey? Even in her personal struggles, Marilyn Monroe displayed courage. She sought meaningful relationships, creative fulfillment, and self-expression, never allowing fear of failure or rejection to keep her from pursuing what mattered most. Her life reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite fear. Each step she took, no matter how small, was a victory against doubt, insecurity, and societal expectation. And in those victories, she created a life that continues to inspire generations. Now, think about your own life. Consider the obstacles you face, the doubts that linger, and the dreams that feel just out of reach. Imagine approaching them with Marilyn Monroe's mindset, with resilience, creativity, courage, and relentless determination. Imagine viewing every setback as a lesson, every criticism as an opportunity for growth, and every fear as a signal to act. Imagine living with authenticity, embracing your complexity, and pursuing your vision without compromise. Take a deep breath, visualize your dreams, plan your steps, take action today. One choice, one effort, one step at a time can redefine your future. Be bold, be courageous, be unapologetically yourself. Marilyn Monroe's life shows that when you combine talent, perseverance, and authenticity, you can create a legacy that transcends time. You can become someone whose impact is felt far beyond your immediate surroundings, whose story continues to inspire long after you are gone. And remember, your beginning does not define your ending. Your struggles do not define your worth. The challenges you face are not obstacles to stop you. They are opportunities to shape you. With vision, effort, and resilience, you can sculpt your own path, just as Marilyn did. She started life with almost nothing, yet through courage, intelligence, and authenticity, she became one of the most iconic figures in history. Her story proves that with determination and belief in yourself, you can rise above circumstance and leave a mark that cannot be erased. If Marilyn Monroe's journey inspires you, don't just admire, act. Take one bold step today toward the life you dream of. Share this story with someone who needs motivation. Comment below the biggest goal you're pursuing and the action you will take today to move closer to it. Subscribe for more stories that empower, inspire, and remind you of the limitless potential within you. Your life is your canvas. The masterpiece is waiting. Start creating.